Hey Track Gang, what's going on in this week's episode of the Boeville in Newtown? Well, it's right over here. Stand by and we'll get into what's happening this week. Well, hello Track Gang, and welcome to episode 15 for 2025. It happens to be April 28th of 2025. And last episode, I said I was going to bring up something that I've been looking for. And to be perfectly honest, the issue was I wasn't willing to buy this particular piece, namely because I wanted it to be a little bit more custom. Well, as it would turn out, about a month and a half ago or so, somewhere in that time frame, I was perusing Thingiverse looking for, I don't remember what the heck it was I was looking for. It may have been when I was looking for or when I found the car card boxes. But anyway, I found something interesting, and it's going to be something else for the railroad that is going to make it, I guess, to a point a little unique. I've heard of people using these this particular piece of rolling stock. Some of them are much larger than the one that I actually printed out, although this one here is fairly large. This happened to take me it took me a week to print all the pieces out. A couple hours at a time. The biggest two pieces took basically 2 hours a piece to print out. The other thing I was trying to watch is my 3D printer was running low on the one reel, and I was like, I really don't want to print out any more big pieces. I'll go ahead and continue to print out the smaller pieces. What am I talking about? Well, I'm going to stop the camera here for a minute so I can get overhead of this thing and show you what it is that I printed out. Now, I am going to tell you right now, this is just the beginning. Just like a couple of other projects, I've got stuff back at the paint booth that I still need to finish up. The two FP7s. I still haven't decaled them yet. I've got them to the point where they're gloss coated. I just need to go ahead and bite the bullet and stick the decals on there and then, dull coat them and they'll be ready for the railroad. I still need to decal the Black Knight, what was that huge auto rack that's been cut down. I still need to go back and decal that up too. That one will be fairly easy. I just have to get down here and set aside some time to actually, because I have to gloss coat that yet, put the decal on and then dull coat that as well. I'm actually thinking, and sorry, my mustache is driving me crazy. I'm actually thinking about with the auto rack, just gloss coating where the decal goes and then put the decal on and then gloss coat or dull coat the rest of it to seal it. Anyway, I'm going to stop the camera here real quick, swing it around and get overhead so you can see exactly what it is that I'm talking about, and I'm going to put it back together because I just took it apart to show you all the different little pieces. So let's go ahead and do this. Alright, this is a bit of an odd setup for me, but what we have here is the parts to put together a center depressed flat car in HO scale. Like I said, this piece alone took about 2 hours to print, and the detail on this thing, it's quite impressive. Now I'm going to try and go over these parts and explain to you what all is here. Now obviously I've had this thing together, so it's for the most part, there's a few parts on here that I have not put on because they're detail parts, and the thing really ought to be painted before I put the other detail parts on. So they'll get painted separately. Any rate, what we have here is obviously the flat car itself. We have a transformer. Now it's got these dimples on the top, and what's funny about that is it actually has these little caps that are separately applied. So they actually go in to the top like that, and like I said, these here will get painted separately before they get glued into that. You've got weight boxes that go on either end of the car. That's all these are. These are supposed to be weight boxes, which is nice because you can put weights on this thing and hide it with the weight boxes. You have the cradle that goes across the top of the transformer for transport. Oop. You have the end pieces, and you'll understand more about this in a minute. This side here handles an air compressor, one of the brake wheels, and so on and so forth. The other side just has a slot for a brake wheel. I'm hoping better part of this shows up on camera. Pardon me if it doesn't. You have two sets of these dudes, which are the swing arms for the trucks, and it also has the coupler box built into it. Along with that, it also comes with, and these are hard as heck to see, I'm going to try, it's a coupler pin. So the coupler pin literally just drops into there, and it holds the coupler in place. And trust me, I've already, like I said, I've had this thing together, I know it works. It prints out 12 of these guys, which are the tie downs. I'm going to try that a different, nope, I was going to say I'm going to try that a different way. So it prints out 12 of these. You only need 10, but it's a good thing you print out 12 because as I was taking this thing back apart, I broke one. And they come on this neat little thing here. And it just, this is just support stuff, supporting for it, but they snap out of there very easily. You've actually got the brake wheels, which are still in the holder here. The brake wheel holders that go into the ends of the car, the air compressor, this little control box, that's part of the air compression system, the air lines and holders for the air compressor, and it prints out 3 ladders, to which you only need 2. Now, what it does not come with, what it does not come with are the trucks. Now, I did 3D print these, and this is the 4th time I've done these. And these here were done with the newer filament, which these worked out great. I mean, they hold Athearn metal axle wheel sets, no problem. And they spin. I've had this thing run, I've rolled it across the railroad because obviously with no weight in it, you can't actually pull it across the railroad because it's not going to stay on the track. The other thing it doesn't come with are the screws that are going to hold everything together. And of course, for the time being, horn hooks. And these are Athearn horn hooks. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this thing back together, and you're going to see what it takes to do this. So I'm going to turn this thing upside down. Actually, what I'm going to do, the first thing is, and obviously these only go one way. This is the holder for the end pieces, so it's going to go, everything is going to go in this side. So it just so happens that this particular truck has already got a screw in it, because it didn't come out all the way when I took it apart. And just like any other piece of rolling stock, you want it to be sort of snug, but you still want it to be able to rotate. So that one there feels pretty good. I'm going to pick up another screw. Now ask me where I got the screws. I have no idea where I got the screws. I think I got them off of Amazon a while back. I'll have to see if I can find the the part number or whatever and see if they've still got them. Alright, so that is one truck assembly. And this assembles to, actually before I put it on there, I'm going to put one of the couplers in here. Now, one of the things that you will find when you put this together the first time, and the fellow recommends that you do this, you have to take a flat file and go into the coupler box and kind of file it open, because obviously when you're printing, it's going to put support in there too. So you're going to have to clean it out with an X-Acto knife, and then go in and clean it up with a file. And I thought I had that lined up, but apparently I don't. This is a bit ticklish. I'm trying to drop the coupler pin in. This is the reason why I didn't put it into the car first. And it didn't like that. That one there doesn't like that coupler. Interesting. Let me try the other one, because I know I had these things cleaned up and everything was good. And I know one of these was a little bit tight. And obviously this is not the coupler that was in this end of the car. Sorry. Alright, let's try that again. Maybe this time without the oops. Yeah, this coupler fits in there a lot better. I think one of these boxes was a little bit cleaner than the other one. Obviously it's stuff that I gotta go back and fix. Yeah, this one here is working better. Okay. I don't even know if that showed up on camera, but you know, it is what it is. Okay, so now we've got the truck assembly together. We're going to go ahead and put a screw, and this might get a little ticklish too, because I think because of the fact that I've had this thing apart a couple different times, the screws are not staying put. I may have to go to a larger screw in that pivot point. Probably would be better too if I had shoulder screws. In other words, screws that have a flat spot on them. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and try to put the coupler in on this one first. And preferably right side up. Oh yeah, that coupler fit in there real easy. Alright. Trust me, the other day I was going through, when I was looking for couplers for this thing, I had to try quite a few before I found a pair that worked. Alright, that one's working in that coupler box a lot better. Okay. Alright, so we'll put the second set of trucks together. Of course, I'm trying to keep my big freaking hand out of the way, but that's kind of not possible with this angle. Sorry. But you get the idea. I didn't want both screws, I just want one screw, thank you. It's the nice thing about having a magnetic screwdriver, but yeah, well, not only is it not only are my hands in the way, but it's a bit dark. Okay, alright, so that's good. We've got movement there. We'll put the screw in this one, and then we'll put this one on the opposite end. It's a little loose. And that feels better. Okay. So now we've got it on its wheels. Alright. Now, the only thing of it is these here, and they only go on one way because they've got two pins, and then you've got the edge of the coupler box up here. So we're just going to sit that on there. I'm not gluing this together obviously yet, because I want to put the detail parts on. So, and then we're going to move these detail parts out of the way because they're not going on there yet. Okay, so the next thing is these neat little tie down eyes, and these just slide in. These didn't take long at all to print. I think these took like 5 minutes maybe to print out a set of 6. And like I said, they give you, since you only need 10, you get 2 extra. And 3 of them go down here. Or 6 of them go down here, I'm sorry. And that was the hole that I was having issues with before when I went to try and get that one back out. Okay, So I'm not sure if that really showed up well or not. We'll try to zoom in here a little bit. Sorry about that zoom, but there you go. There's your eye hooks on this. Eye hooks on this side. Eye hooks on this side. I'm going to zoom back out a minute. No, not in, you dummy. Okay. Sorry if I made anybody sick. Now, the next thing is, let's go ahead and put the weight boxes on. So they go on either end, and this is where the other eyes go. Now, the thing of it is if I'm not mistaken, he actually showed this on the printout that you can put them, I think you can put them this way or you can put them the other way. The other thing is you can actually print out the weight boxes without the holes. That's an option. You can do it that way too. Now, the last piece is the transformer. Now, the funny thing with the transformer is it only goes on here one way. And I'm not sure how the heck he keyed that to do that, but now I see it. You got a wide end on this side and a narrow end on this side. So that's the reason why it only goes one way. And then our little caps that go on top, provided I can get them to line up. Almost lost that one. And you only get 3 of those. And then, of course, our cradle for the tie downs. And that's it. So, what's the next step with this thing? Well, the next step with this is going to be getting it into the paint shop and actually getting it painted. I think I've got an idea as to what, I've got an idea on 2 colors. I'm thinking about painting the main part either yellow or the blue that I came up with that's on the front of the F7s. Obviously the transformer will be painted gray. I may end up taking the transformer and painting it the same color as the guy that actually made this design. The weight boxes, I'm not sure if I'm going to have them as gray or if I'm going to do something different with those. I can tell you if I've got the parts or if I've got the decals, the B&N is going to end up on either side, on one side of these on either end. So they can be transferable. The braking or the air compressor and all that, I'll have an idea as to what color I'm going to end up painting that. That may end up getting painted black or orange, maybe. I don't know. Obviously, the ladders would get painted, safety yellow, which is going to be kind of interesting against a yellow backdrop, but or a yellow car. But then again, they're supposed to, I believe they go on the ends here, or at least I thought they did. Maybe they do, and it's just, oops. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly where the ladders are supposed to end up. If they end up there, or if they end up on, they may end up on the side of the main frame. Like I said, I'm not 100%. I have to go back and take a look at the finished product that he's got on Thingiverse and see exactly where these are supposed to go, because I'm not 100% sure now. But like I said, this turned out to be a neat little project, and my vision for this is going to be. This will not be something that'll be on a freight train all the time. In other words, I'm going to take a page from Jimmy over DIY and Digital, and actually the same way that the real railroads do things, and this here would be an extra, to where, like, I'm going to say maybe 3 to 5% of the time, something like this would show up along with my other transformer car that I'm still working on. They would go in as a pair. They're a heavy load. They're an oversized load. The one thing I haven't checked, and I'm sure it will, I don't know if it'll fit underneath the bridge. So we're gonna have to go take a look at that. But something like this would be moving at restricted speed, and especially on my railroad, since it's not a high-speed railroad to begin with, that's a good thing, which means you're going to be running it even slower. Mainly just because, like I said, mainly because of the weight. And I do believe, and somebody can leave a comment, that, and I just went in instead of out, I do believe that the FRA and the railroads would have it to where something like this would probably have idler flat cars between it and any other load, just because, as a buffer, which is what kind of my thoughts are. I've got plenty of flat cars. I may end up doing that, where it would be the locomotive, a flat car, this car, another flat car, probably the other transformer car, another flat car, and a caboose. So it'd be an extremely short train. And it wouldn't be one of these ones that would be loaded going south and then empty going north. No, it would complete the run, and then Five Finger Mike would pick it up and hand it back to the... Because the way I see this is that the transformer manufacturer is somewhere up in Pennsylvania or what have you. He's on the north end, and it's going south for whatever is going on down there. So it's only going to transverse the railroad in one direction. It's not going to go in both directions. So it's going to add some unique operating nuance to the railroad, I think. Again, is it prototypical? Probably not 100%. My fear is I was thinking about this the other night, about putting a false floor in this thing and having it to where the floor of the car now is attached to the transformer. And when you get to the south end of the railroad, you would actually pull the transformer, it would come up with the floor, and then you would just have a false floor sitting there. And then when it's back to the north side, then you would put the transformer back on it, and it would be ready to go back south. I don't know if I'm going to do that or not. Cutting this PLA is a bit of a, and sorry if the camera's, it's loose in the tripod. Cutting the PLA is kind of tough. So I don't know how I'm going to do that yet. Like I said, for the time being, I want to get it together. I got it together. I want to paint it, and I want to actually put it on a railroad and see if it functions. It could be one of these things. Maybe it doesn't function and it just sits in a yard someplace. And sorry for the glasses. We'll see. This is just something that I've always seen, and I've kind of wanted one for the railroad, but I know that buying one is not cheap, and they're becoming fewer and farther between. So that's that. Now, one of the things we will be getting back into tonight, or not tonight, but this week, is going to be the scenery, that road behind the school, and obviously the reservoir underneath the bridges. So we'll be back to talk about that. All right, track gang. I was going to show you what I've come up with for the backdrop, but I've decided I am going to leave what's on the table on the table. I'm quickly realizing, in reality, the road behind the school, that's going to be somewhat easy. And now that I know how I want to tackle that one's not going to be too bad. And the bridge with the reservoir river feeding it, that's going to be a lot more organic, for lack of a better term. I was messing around with it on this piece of foam core that I've got sitting over here, and quickly realized as I was sketching things out, I'm like, oh, this will be great, and I've got lines all over the place, and then I realized right after I did all that it wasn't going to work. It's going to have to be pretty much just drawn in place, and I'm just going to have to be very, very, very careful and mindful of what I'm doing. The nice thing of it is I can draw on that somewhat, and then, you know, get a feel for how it's going to look, instead of trying to come up with some sort of a hard sketch. Like I said, with the organicness, that's a new word, of that scene, it's going to have to be pretty much done in place. I am, however, going to attempt on either a piece of paper or another piece of this backdrop or piece of foam core. I am going to attempt to basically practice and see if I can come up with something that looks right. And then from that point, then I can just kind of go with it from there. I think that's the best way to do it at this point. Obviously, I don't want to really dig in on that backdrop if I don't have to. For those that are unaware, this Saturday and Sunday, which is the 3rd and the 4th, is the train show in Timonium. This is train show number 2 for the year. I do plan on going Saturday. I don't know what time I'm going to get up there. I probably won't get there until 10:30, 11 o'clock. So if there is anybody interested, or if there is anybody that's coming in and would like to catch up with me and possibly come over here and hang out at the B&N for a little bit, you're more than welcome to do that. The weather apparently isn't supposed to be all that nice this weekend. Go figure. So, I mean, I've got things kind of straightened out here. I've got some things I'll probably end up having to do. Well, I can't do them tomorrow, so because I'm working, but I've got a few things that I'd like to straighten up before folks come over. Maybe I'll take care of that after I get done with recording this thing and get it over to the computer. Other than that, that's all I've got. We need to, on Sunday, welcome John number 2, the Count, from the Schuylkill River Valley, back into the Sidetrack Sunday fold. This is his first show since January or February, considering the fact that he took that time off to work on his accounting stuff for tax season. So he is back in the fold this Sunday. So welcome John back. Make sure you tune in 8 p.m. U.S. Eastern. The other thing is that Brian over at the Iron Horse Route is having a contest for 3,000 subscribers. I will link to his post in the description below. Go check that out and see what he's got going on over there. I think the contest actually started today, but I think the first question or something like that is supposed to be tomorrow, which is Friday. Actually, it'll be today. When this video comes out, it'll be today. Right now, it's still Thursday, so it's tomorrow. Confused? Yes. Okay. Also, if you haven't seen it recently, Ron over at Classic Model Trains picked himself up a former club layout and currently has it in a storage shed in somewhere out in Montana, I think it is. And it's really cool. This week he worked on Dead Rail, which was really unique to see, using a Blue Nami encoder. Jason the Train Freak, if you're watching. But that was really, really interesting to see, and he's got it somewhat running, so that was really neat. So if you haven't, go check that out. I've got nothing else this week. You all know the deal. Wait for the high ball. Green tracks ahead. Be safe. God bless. We will catch you all next time. See ya.